Oh, beautiful, it's true. Hey guys, it's your best boxing friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. Rachel, we have an important announcement coming to you live on this recorded video that happened yesterday. FightNews.com, the WBC announced that Jermall Charlo has been elevated from interim WBC middleweight champion to the full WBC middleweight champion. Congrats to Jermall, right?
Why'd they make the decision?
Well, it's funny you should ask, Rachel. The WBC has decided, they've come up with some rules to decide that sometimes they're going to elevate. Now, their WBC middleweight champion originally is Canelo Alvarez, but they've elevated Canelo from the full champion to be called something called a franchise champion, Rachel. And so, just let me break it down for you, basically. You've now got your franchise champion who has all these. Basically, if you're Canelo, you get to be a franchise. If you're Canelo level, if you're that important to the WBC, you get to be franchise champion. When the Canelo fights his next fight at middleweight, the guy he fights can't necessarily win to become franchise champion. He can potentially, if the WBC so decides, win at stake a WBC diamond belt, which is another belt. So what the hell is going on in boxing, Rachel? I don't understand this.
I don't either.
It's completely bonkers.
Think of anything to say because
I
don't understand.
I'm like, and as a boxing writer, as a journalist, how am I going to explain this to people? It don't make no sense. This is dumb. It reminds me, the sanctioning body's actions, I was reflecting on this yesterday after the news. This reminds me of if you have a friend and they're secretly addicted to drugs and they start acting all crazy, and saying stuff and you're like, what? You can't really follow their logic anymore. Now, obviously, I'm not accusing anybody at the WBC of being addicted to drugs, but I am saying there's some kind of addiction there with the WBC creating title belts, right? They're getting all aggy about their title belts, so they're just making stuff up out of thin air. And it's good for them because they get to charge all these fighters sanctioning fees. Fighters gladly play them for some reason. I don't know why, but they do. Promoters like it. TV networks like it. Fans and general people of common sense and goodwill hate it, but they don't care about you. They don't care about me.
I don't understand with this specifically. So my experience with alphabet belts has been that usually they have their real belt, and then they have some other belts, and they might make up some other belts along the way, but they still have that one belt that's kind of the belt.
Well, yeah.
You're you have the WBC belt. There it is. That's what it is. And they might have an interim belt. They might have a diamond belt. They might have this. I don't know. But I kind of can ignore that. But what you're telling me right now seems...
It's new.
Yeah, this seems wait a minute.
It's also unclear.
Canelo is the top guy. Nobody would even say that Charlo is above Canelo.
But just say Canelo and Charlo fought, if Charlo... My understanding, you can read it at FightNews.com. I'll leave a link in the show notes. If Charlo beat Canelo, Charlo wouldn't become the franchise champion. He
would just keep his WBC belt.
And maybe if they had decided beforehand to have the winner win a WBC diamond belt, he could win that. But our friend Regis Prograis, who is from New Orleans, of course, who transplanted to Houston years ago and now actually lives in Los Angeles, he has a diamond belt. Rachel took a picture of the diamond belt. It's pretty fancy, heavy, awesome. I'm glad that the fighters like to win them. If I was a fighter, I would win one too. But I'm saying that for the sport overall, this is just nonsense, crazy stuff.
I feel like I could overlook it, but when you're, because I just don't understand what happens. Was Canelo not fighting enough at? Is it middle or super middle?
There's no explanation.
What's Charlo fighting in right now?
That's why does Bob keep leaving the room? Oh, he's doing cocaine in the bathroom. It's not there's no reason. I feel like there's not
that's a reason.
But I feel like it's not a logical, sane reason.
Well, I'm just help me, me and the viewers here.
Help me help you.
The Charlo now has
the
WBC.
Except that he doesn't, right? I'm saying that.
No, but he does. They gave it to him. And what weight class is it for?
Middleweight.
Middleweight.
You know that.
So Canelo had that.
Yes.
Charlo was interim. WBC
So now
middleweight.
Charlo has the...
And now he's elevated to just this, and you can't have, I assume, I mean, I guess you could, but you probably shouldn't have two fighters in the WBC, like, equal, right? Both with WBC belts.
Well, no, he's not equal. Charlo has,
so,
in name, the full championship, but in design, he's not the WBC middleweight champion. The only WBC middleweight champion then would be the franchise champion.
They elevated him and then elevated Canelo to this franchise
to this new thing that didn't exist before.
That didn't exist.
So Charlo really got
may or may not have a belt associated with it.
Oh, there's a belt.
Okay. Okay, so let me say this. Isn't it the same?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, Canelo's now the WBC champion / franchise champion, WBC champion. And Charlo is the WBC interim / WBC
Well, he's
champion.
not interim anymore. He's just full heavy. He's just full.
No, but I'm saying for the sake, they're in the same place.
Yeah,
the same
it's
rankings.
the same thing. It's like a shell game.
The same thing exists, except both the guys got new belts.
Except that the WBC makes up rules as they go along, and so now there's just new rules that they say they're going to abide by, but they don't really have to because they're all.
So all this says to me is nothing. Like, this changes like nothing for me. I don't really care about like belts all that much. They're both still champions, so before or after this, anytime they fight somebody, if it's for the belt, it's going to be a championship fight, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's a bronze belt or interim belt, that's still considered a championship fight, and you fight 12 rounds.
It's just hard, like, especially...
I will say this is all super confusing when you have friends over for a fight, because here's what happens is we start having friends who are like, oh, why is this 10 rounds, or why is this 12 rounds? And you're like, oh, well, this is a championship fight. And you're like, what's the championship for? Because in their heads, what they automatically do is they go back and they think, oh, there's a Super Bowl, there's NFC championship, there's AFC championship.
Human reason, which would say that there would only be one champion.
The World Series, so their minds go to
logic.
this. So when they say that, they're like, oh, what is this a championship for?
And you're like, well...
And I can't really answer that. I'm like, well, there's all these kind of belts out there, but let me just say this. Both these guys are like the top guys in the weight class, and this is a really good fight. Or I'll say, both of these guys are really good fighters. They're both contenders in their weight class. You know what I mean? But it is confusing for people outside the sport. It's a little bit confusing for those of us inside the sport.
There's a middleweight title holders now. You got the WBC full title holder. That's Jermall / interim, whatever. Canelo is the lineal, and he holds several of the alphabet belts as well. Demetrius Andrade has the WBO title. Is that it? I think that's it. Here's the thing. Canelo Alvarez is the world middleweight champion.
Yeah.
There's only one middleweight champion, and that's Canelo Alvarez. So,
and people in the sport, we
all know
belts.
Canelo is the champion. Yeah.
It just it determines if it's a 12-round fight, and then
it's dumb.
I don't know. I use Ring Magazine or
TBRB.
TBRB.
I call it the T-Bird. No, I don't think nobody else calls that. I think they should get black jackets. Instead of having a belt, have a T-Bird black jacket. Grease jacket.
Yeah.
Instead of T-Birds, it'd be T-Bird.
My guess is with the fighters is that, I get it.
I get it.
You want a belt.
Yeah.
I mean, look at, the idea of having a belt transcends the sport. You have Aaron Rodgers, making, he's got his,
I would totally get a belt and display it. Jermall Charlo calls himself a 2-weight world champion.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. Okay.
So, I
get it.
For the fighters, I also get that, you come up, all of a sudden, you're mixed up in this whole, craziness of different belts and stuff, and you have people come in.
Yeah.
And then, so, what is Canelo supposed to do, right? They come to him and are like, hey, we just made Charlo this, but guess what? Now you're the franchise champion, and that's above that. Is Canelo going to be nah?
Well, yeah.
Can he could, but is he really going to do that? Because I'm guessing that the alphabet belts still have enough of a hold on the sport that people are like, oh,
and
I feel like I kind of need that belt. Because I'm guessing that Canelo has to pay more for the franchise champion belt, and Charlo has to pay more in fees versus interim versus full champion. And I bet that there's a scarcity thing here. They're afraid to be I don't need this. That they will somehow become irrelevant irrelevant in the sport if they don't have this hardware.
I don't know what it is, But I do know that there have been efforts to stop the madness, stop the alphabet, madness. And so for a long time, people only considered Ring Magazine belt the real belt. That's one that also Canelo has. But then, of course, Ring Magazine makes some choices, and people are like, hey, we can't trust these guys. So what do? We create another ranking organization that tracks championships, the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board.
They don't
actually was a part of that when it began. When I used to be a panel member of that. I'm not anymore, and it's partly because I stood away from the sport for a while, but also because I'm not sure that's the solution, really. Like, I feel like we just keep adding things, and what really has to happen for this madness to stop is not doing more of the same thing. It's going to be something completely drastic and different.
I would like to see the fighters unionize and say, we say no to belts and just get rid of them.
I wouldn't.
Although, I mean, I get, you like the belt, but I wish...
We need a stupid rich person to come along and to just buy the WBC somehow. They're non-profits, but they're rich. Buy all those organizations, and then just everything needs to be under one umbrella, and then they need to take those keys and hand it to my guy Springs Toledo and close one of the founding members of the founders of the TBRB. Close his fist and just walk away, bruh. Walk away. All right? I don't know, but that's not probably going to happen.
I don't know, because I think the panels keep one another in check, but at the same time, I see the benefit of having a single organization so you don't have all this mass confusion with champions.
There needs to be one champion, but the problem is that you can't just... I could create something tomorrow and say, this is the real thing. There's also... I just found this
buy-in.
lineal... There's a website out there that's now claims to track lineal championships. Another thing. It's another thing. I've tried to reach out to these people. They won't talk to me. Can you get it? Because I'm not agreeing with you, guy, if you're out there. It's because I'm like, oh, good, another thing. You just made a website, and now you want to be the thing, right? I don't think that's going to work. I really do support Ring Magazine and the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board. I think especially the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board, because they're unaffiliated with any kind of promotional nonsense. They have a much larger panel. All that good stuff. Either one of those that you like and support are fine. I'm just saying that what needs to happen is going to hurt us in the community. It's going to be so different and so whatever that nobody has even thought of it yet. Right? Dana White, buy us. Buy boxing. Save us from ourselves, Dana. I know. And you know what? Maybe because UFC fighters get paid so little compared to boxers as far as the pie goes. Fine, maybe we'll give you 90% of the money, and all our fighters will be poor, but at least we'll have one champion. Is that right? I don't know.
Well, you can have 90% of the money from Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel.
Because 90% of zero is zero.
When you like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah,
we guarantee it.
We guarantee you 90% of that. You know what? 95%. We're generous.
99. 110%.
Yeah, you can have all of it.
Actually, no. That's still zero. Yes.
Yeah.
I had to back down.
We don't claim to know about math. So if it's not zero, don't be hunting us up. We just want you to like, comment, subscribe.